Hello everyone and welcome to the video. This will be about the history of Terror Time in the Yokai Watch games. Well, the English ones anyway, because I don't play any of the Japanese games. I'm going to discuss the things I like about each version of Terror Time and the things I dislike about each version. Well, what is Terror Time? In the Yokai Watch games, Terror Time is a random event that's supposed to happen when you're out when you shouldn't be, and can occur at any time, but it's more likely later at night. It can occur in most areas in Springdale except wildwood. It can even occur in Excellent Tower, the wiki's wrong. In Terror Time, the player must try to get to the exit without being caught by the Oni, which can be difficult. There will be other yokai, lead Onis and suspicious Onis in 1, and patrol eyes in 2. You must avoid as well, or else they will alert the Oni to your location. If the player wants to be risky though, they can try and get extra rewards by collecting chests or Oni orbs depending on the game. If the player has a high enough level team, they can defeat the Oni and collect the rewards with no risk involved. There are 3 different Onis: Gargros, Ogrilus, and Orkanos. Gargros is the easiest of the 3, and once you defeat him, the next time Terror Time happens, Ogrilus can have a chance of appearing, and when Ogrilus is beaten, Orkanos can have a chance to appear as well. In the first game, the player is first introduced to Terror Time in the 4th chapter of the story, where Nate is looking to get his watch rank upgraded. Mr. Goodsight, the owner of Timers and More, the watch shop, tasks him with getting various items. Whilst looking for one of these items, Nate finds the yokai Baku, who eats people's dreams. Mr. Goodsight then tasks Nate with going to the hot springs at night, but Nate can't do that as if his parents caught him he'd be screwed. But luckily, Baku can take his place in bed whilst he goes out at night. At night, once Nate leaves the house, all of a sudden, the watch starts counting down. 3, 2, 1... This is when we were first introduced to Terror Time. I'm gonna be honest, this really scared me when I was younger, playing this for the first time. I would literally sometimes just stay in wildwood because I knew it couldn't occur there. In this game, there are chests scattered about the map, which can give you really good items such as fusion items and equipment. Something else to note is that sometimes Terror Time can occur when you go through some doors in the Infinite Inferno, and like I've said, your team needs to be very high leveled in order to defeat the Onis. During a normal playthrough, or before yokai are high leveled, Terror Time can be quite annoying when it happens, but when you're higher leveled, you usually see it as an opportunity to get good items once you defeat the Oni. At least I do anyway. It can also be annoying when you're trying to trigger Terror Time and have to just leave your 3DS on for a while. In my opinion, this is still the best version of Terror Time, as you're guaranteed to get good items instead of leaving it up to chance, as we'll see with Yokai Watch 2. Game introduces Terror Time basically the same way as the first game. Nate tries to get his watch upgrade, he befriends Baku, Mr. Goodsight needs him to go at night to get something. Terror Time works differently in this game, because you don't even fight the Onis in this one. That's right, they just one-shot you and send you straight to bed when they catch you. Instead you have to use items like blaze bombs and rocket punches to defeat them, though you can fight the Onis normally in other places in the game. I do like that you don't have to be high level to defeat them, but I don't like how they just one-shot you. Another thing is that an Oni can jump right to you when being chased. Also, after a certain amount of time has passed, a second Oni can spawn, which I would like if you actually fought them in this game instead of just using items. Instead of chests, there are Oni orbs scattered around the map for you to collect, and they also infinitely respawn so you can collect as many as you want before the very long time limit runs out. Once you escape, the amount of Oni orbs you collect will be spent on the Oni Crankakai, which just like a regular Crankakai gives you a random prize. The more Oni orbs you collect, the higher chance of getting something good out of the Oni Crankakai. I still prefer 1, though, as even if you only get 1 chest, you still get a good item, whereas in 2, if you collect a small amount of Oni orbs, you're not going to get anything that good. Something else to mention is that Terror Time no longer happens in the Infinite Inferno, which I'm glad, to be honest, because I don't really like this version of Terror Time that much. I'm not going to talk too much about blasters in this video, it's kind of its own thing, but I will talk about blasters the mode in 2, as it's heavily based off that game's version of Terror Time. Blasters and Psychic Blasters in 2 is basically Terror Time, but you play as yokai and there are more bosses than just the Onis, which by the way are way weaker in blasters compared to the main games. Each yokai has their own moves and stats, which will help them defeat the bosses. One thing I find really weird is how there was no online mode for the mode in 2 and it was local only. Personally, I find Dark QB just really useful in this mode when playing solo, as he has Drain attribute and can heal himself. Just like 2's Terror Time, there are items you can use and Oni Orbs to collect. The unlock requirements for bosses can be really annoying to do, like, I can't be bothered to collect 200 Oni Orbs and get 300 best Oni Orbs awards. Beating all the bosses in this mode was something that I was gonna do, but then I saw the boss unlock requirements and I was like, nah, I ain't doing that. Every day you can obtain an Oni Misfortune which can make bosses hard to get more rewards. But even bosses exclusive to this mode such as Rubius J, Hardy Hound and He Knows All. Then went on to make Blast its own game, which I won't talk about here. It doesn't really have anything to do with Terror Time, other than the fact that it's supposed to take place during Terror Time. God, I miss this game. RIP 3DS on mine. Similar to the first 2 games, Terror Time is introduced early on in the story, this time with Haley instead of Nate as he is in BBQ. Unlike other games where the watch counts down from 3, instead in this game a red cylinder just transports you to Terror Time, which I don't really like as much. One difference in this version is that the door spawns right away. Forgot to mention, but in 1 and 2 you have to wait a bit before the door spawns. This time though, instead of being able to exit right away, you have to find the key somewhere on the map. Could even be behind the Oni. Oni Orbs are still a thing in this one, but there are only 10 of them to collect, with the Oni Cranky Guy also returning, working the same as in 2. Patrol Eyes can have different line of sights, with some just looking straight forward. And the Oni is chasing after you. If you go to a certain spot on the map, he will turn invisible for a while and the Oni will no longer chase you. Just like in 1, you actually fight the Oni in this game, though they are a bit easier than before, but I think it's just due to 3's battle system, which makes dodging attacks easier. Also their moves being more similar to the moves in Blasters, which can be avoided unlike in 1 and 2, where they will 1 or 2 shot you yokai with most attacks that can't be dodged. Also in this game and 2, you can tell when Terror Time is close to happening by checking the weather app. Overall better than 2's and does some things better than 1, but I still prefer 1's overall. Whilst Terror Time is still a thing in Springdale, in BBQ it's replaced with its American counterpart, Zombie Night. It's once again introduced in the story early on, but on Night's side. It can happen at random when you go to sleep in BBQ, or you can make it guaranteed to happen when you wear the shambling shorts. It can also be triggered by Clown Time, but I'll talk about that in another video. The fact that it only occurs when you sleep makes it easily avoidable first time by just saving before going to bed. In Zombie Night, there will be zombies wandering the streets which you can kill with a zombie whomper, and just like Patrol Eyes, zombies have their own line of sight and will chase after the player when they're seen. Nate actually has HP in one shot like in 2's Terror Time. There are different levels in Zombie Night, each sharing a different location and different zombie yokai. The goal is to get to the location and ring the bell without being killed. The different zombie yokai have different abilities, like Necro Dimmy being invisible on the minimap, and Necro Nyan just being a faster, stronger enemy. Others include Necroma, Necro Owl, Necro Snartle, and even Zomgrolos. In the different levels, there are different items and upgrades you can collect, like armor upgrades, whomper upgrades, and healing items. Although the player can skip right to the last level, it's still advised that you play others just to get upgrades unless you're really good. In the final level, which takes place in City Hall, the Hollow Guard, who is the final boss of this mode, will appear. He can be quite hard to defeat without upgrades, but as you need to beat him twice, but it isn't too hard if you've got all the upgrades, and it doesn't take too many hits to defeat. Once you've rang the bell at top of City Hall, Zombie Night can no longer occur when going to bed in BBQ normally. If you go to sleep whilst wearing shambling shorts, however, it will now activate Endless Night, which is the exact same as normal Zombie Night, but you can beat the final level as much as you want. Personally, I don't like Zombie Night as much, but that's mainly just because I'm bad at it. As for how I'd rank these, last place definitely goes to 2, as you don't even fight the Onis, and you're not even guaranteed to get something good as you would in 1. And 4th would be 3's Terror Time. I definitely think it's much better than 2's, and even does some things better than 1. Still has the Oni Orbs like in 2, and the key can be tedious to obtain sometimes. Third is Psychic Blasters. Although I like fighting bosses as yokai, I think it's the annoying boss unlock method and lack of online, that doesn't really matter now, that stops it from being higher. And second is surprisingly Zombie Night. I haven't really played too much of Zombie Night, most of what I played for Zombie Night is for this video. But I like how it's more avoidable than Terror Time, and yokai don't have to be high level to be it. And the thing that stops Fring number 1 is that I'm not very good at it. Number 1 is Yokai Watch 1's Terror Time, because you're guaranteed to get good items from it, as well as just not having things that 2's have, actually being able to fight the Onis. Well, that was an overview of Terror Time throughout the Yokai Watch games, as well as my opinions on them. Like, subscribe, and comment what Terror Time's your favourite. If enough people watch this, I might make another video with other random events like Red Box, Clown Time, and New Criminals. I even made a poll on Reddit and YouTube. The Reddit poll, Yokai Watch 1 and 2 were actually surprisingly even. On the YouTube poll, surprisingly, only like 3 people voted, and they all voted for 1, so yeah, anyway, see ya.